Hi, I'm Roman.
And I'm Caitlin,
I'm not a big Disney fan,
and I am.
and
And
together
together,
we're
we're going to
gonna have
have
a
a
hundred
hundred
Disney
Disney
adventures
adventures
of
of
a
a
lifetime.
lifetime. Today, we're going to take a walk down Main Street, USA.
I feel like we need some old timey music with that.
I know. Down the main line. Read all about it. So, Main Street, USA was very important to Walt. He it was partially inspired by his hometown of Marceline, Missouri.
Marceline.
He had many fond memories about his small town where he was born and grew up. Sorry, actually, where he spent a few years of his life. He was actually born in Chicago. Fun fact.
Fun fact.
Um, so yeah, Main Street USA and Disneyland Paris is
So we should say there's three of them. There's
yes.
three main streets USA.
So yes, Disneyland California, the
Mm-hmm.
original Disneyland park, that was based off of Marceline, Missouri, and it's the only of all of the main streets that Walt actually ever walked down.
Oh.
And then we had
Wasn't Florida finished built like right after he died or something?
no, it was still like it opened a couple years after his death.
Mm.
Yeah. I want to say he died in 1968 and then Magic Kingdom opened in 1971.
Okay. Okay, continue.
Um and then Magic Kingdom, Main
Mm-hmm.
Street USA,
Yes.
and Disneyland Paris, Main Street USA.
Hmm. And so I have been to two. I've been to the one in Florida and to the one in Paris, but you've been to all three, right?
I have been to all three. That's
Okay.
true. Yeah.
So just a description. They're all similar. So when you come in, there's the train station that you walk either through or under.
Hmm.
Then you come out to like a main town square type deal. So
Yeah.
there's usually going to be some type of grass in the middle, like a little not field per se, but a little grassy knoll type
Yeah,
area in the
like a
middle.
grass square.
Right.
Sometimes there's a gazebo type thing.
Gazebo.
Gazebo.
Gazebo. Yes. And then to the sides, you're going to find like your customer service or whatever.
Hmm.
Um, and then you'll be funneled down into the middle. So it's kind of like a circular square type area. And then along a straight line that's through the middle. And on the sides, are going to be shops and
Hmm.
little, like souvenirs or you can get some Mickey Mouse ears or some snacks or something. And then they all three point directly to the castle, right?
Yep,
Okay.
that's true. So I would say that when comparing the three of them, more so they're more similar than different
Mm,
from my perspective at least. So each of them, they all give a turn of the century USA small town vibe, I would say.
yeah.
And each of them, they have vehicles that can carry you down Main Street. They have the omnibus, they have the limousine, the Mercer, and the paddy wagon. And those cars or replicas of them are at each of the parks.
Hmm.
And then, so you're going to see the like you said, there's like a ticketing area, like a guest services
Hmm.
area there. I think each of them have a like a firehouse.
Right.
There's an emporium.
Hmm.
There's an ice cream shop on all of them. Um, different shops and restaurants. Now those vary slightly
Right.
depending on which park you're in, but they're all fairly similar.
Hmm.
Now, each of them are based slightly different. So, according to the 100 Disney Adventures of a Lifetime book, it sounds as though Disneyland in Anaheim is the only one that is based off of Marceline. It sounds like in Walt Disney um in Walt Disney World at Magic Kingdom, it's inspired by many towns, including Saratoga, New York, and it gives a Norman Rockwell type of feel.
Mm.
And then over in Disneyland Paris, it's let's see. It's giving an experience of the good old-fashioned USA Liberty Arcade that tells the story of the Statue of Liberty, while Discovery Arcade displays 19th century inventions. But I would say to the average person's eye, they all look
They
pretty
look the same.
similar,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. No, yeah, they definitely look the same. I think what sets them apart from the two that I've been to is the entry to the area, right?
Mhm.
So the Florida one is you get from the transportation center, what do they call it? The TT.
TTC.
Yes. So either you take the boat across the
Mhm.
lake or you take the tram
The monorail.
around the monorail around the lake.
Yep.
So you come off. For me, the boat is the best way to go. I think it's a much better experience. It's more, especially if you can sit at the front of the boat and
Mhm.
like see your entry to the park. After that, then you come out onto this promenade of sorts where you're looking directly at the train station, and
Mhm.
then there's like the greenery that's around it,
Yep.
and then from there you give your ticket, you go underneath the train station, and you're on Main Street. Now in
You're
Paris,
going through the theater,
through the theater,
yes, in order to get to the main
and then
stage.
you go to the main stage. Now, Paris is not as grand in its initial delivery just because they don't have a lake. So when we went, we took the train from like the city of Paris
Mhm.
to the Disney.
Yeah.
And after that, then I think first we walked around the other section, like the shops
Yeah,
area.
like their downtown Disney
Right.
section.
And then if so like if you go right, you get to the downtown Disney. And then if you go left, you get to the Paris Disney. So or it might be
I think it's the
switched,
other way
but
around. But
whatever.
yeah, so you in Disneyland Paris, then you walk through the Disneyland Paris hotel
Yeah.
and then you're going
Hmm.
into the
Right.
park,
Right.
which is different. And I will say that the Magic Kingdom is the only place where you're going to have that water around. Unless if you go to like Tokyo Disney, I hear that there's like a
Hmm.
water feature in one of the parks.
Yeah.
But as far as
Tokyo Disney Sea.
yeah.
Yeah.
As far as that, like, really feeling like you're being transported to another world, I
Hmm.
do feel like the only place that you get that like in that regard is from Magic Kingdom
Yeah.
because Disneyland Paris, yes, you're not in the middle of a city like you are in Anaheim, California, but it's still, it's a smaller Disney park. And so everything is like on a smaller scale. So
Hmm.
you walk through the Disneyland Paris hotel and then you still do, I think you're walking under the Main Street railroad.
In Paris.
Yeah.
Yeah, you still go through the station or under the station, whatever.
Yeah.
You're still interacting with the train station,
Yeah.
but it's just not a as grand as it's not a grand presentation of it as it is in Florida. Now, I've never been to the California one, so what is that initial walk up like?
So this is a hard one for me
Hmm.
because Disneyland and Anaheim is purely nostalgia based
Right.
feels for
Hmm.
me in the sense of this is where Walt Disney walked.
Right.
He walked through these streets. There's pictures of him on these streets. He was here. So I really love that aspect.
Hmm.
Other than that, I would say it's more similar to like Disneyland Paris,
Okay.
where you're not. So the way it's set up in California is you're in the middle of a city,
Right.
first of all. So Anaheim is like a bustling city.
Yeah.
And then if you're on like the main boulevard, then you walk towards downtown Disney. And right before you get to downtown Disney, there's a split.
Hmm.
So if you go left, then you're in Disney California Adventure. If you go right, then you're in Disneyland. And it still gives you that old town feel. Um, And again, it's the original.
Right.
So it's all it's all similar, I
Yeah.
would say. I
Yeah.
don't know. I think that you're right. I think that Magic Kingdom is definitely the most like grand
Mhm.
feel.
Mhm.
But then, so once you go through or under the train station,
Right.
then what is your initial reaction once you're inside the park?
So once you go through, again, I've only been to Florida and Paris. For me, Paris was better once
Mm,
you're actually in the park. But I come to the realization that Paris was better because there was less people.
yeah.
So you could actually experience it more. When you're in the Florida park, there's hundreds of people. There's people taking pictures on the main street with the, like, with the castle right behind them. I think there was like a line, like a photo booth line, or not photo booth, photo pass line,
Mhm.
where the photographers are walking around like, hey, do you want your picture? Hey, do you want your
Mhm.
picture? So you don't really get to soak in the Main Street ambiance. It's much louder as well. And then, people are sitting across the curbs just trying to catch a seat wherever they can, and it's really hard to get a good picture opportunity. But in France, in Paris, maybe it was just because it was less people there, but I definitely think it felt bigger because there was less people. You felt like you could see more of it, but it also felt slower, which I feel if you want a Main Street type of vibe, like you want that slower pace, walking around, not having to rush and run to wherever you're going. So I definitely say for me the Paris Main Street was the better one. It was quieter, it felt bigger, there were less people, even cast members like trying to get our picture. I felt like there was less of them there, and I'm sure there were still a few of them there, but I definitely say that one was better for me.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you 100% on that. So, my thoughts are when you're walking through the Magic Kingdom gates or the Disneyland Paris gates, you are awestruck as soon as you walk in.
Hmm.
You see this beautiful background of Cinderella's castle or Sleeping Beauty's castle, depending on which park you're in. And it's just it takes your breath away. I
Yeah.
mean, as many times as I've been to Magic Kingdom, as soon as I walk in there and the sound of the music on Main Street, the smells going through the air,
Hmm.
the balloon selling
Yeah.
people,
Yeah.
there's something so magical
Hmm.
about it. And then the same thing in Disneyland Paris. I
Right.
mean, as soon as you feel like you're transported to another world, you have this gorgeous castle in front of you.
Hmm.
You have the Main Street feel as soon as you come in, and there is something that has to be said
Right.
about that. In Disneyland and Anaheim, the castle is quite a bit underwhelming in
Mm.
comparison to the other two. Now, yet again, nostalgia takes a hold of me because it is the first castle.
Right.
And, at the time it was this beautiful wonder, but it is a lot less impressive
Hmm.
um, than the other two parks
Is
that we've been
Paris
to.
smaller of a park?
Disneyland Paris is one of the smaller, like Magic
Okay.
Kingdom is going to be, I think, your
Yeah.
biggest. Now, Disneyland is also big in
Hmm.
Anaheim, but it's big, but it's in the middle of the city. So, like,
Right.
when you're on some rides, you can actually
In
see
the city.
the city.
Okay.
So you're kind of, like, taken out
Right.
for a minute, and, like, like I said, the castle's not as big, so it doesn't give you the same
The main
feeling.
reason I asked that is because I feel, now I know this is not correct, but I feel like as soon as you leave the Disneyland Paris Main Street, you're in front of the castle, which
Yeah.
I actually liked it because
Mm.
I don't know if we've ever actually been to the castle in Florida one. I'm sure we've walked through it or something, but with the one in France in Paris, like you come off Main Street and then you can go to that underground part, which I thought was cool with the
Yeah.
dragon.
Yeah.
So that definitely to me had a plus because like I said, I don't remember interacting with the castle in the Florida Disney.
Yeah, I think you actually that's a really great point. In some ways, the Cinderella's castle in Magic Kingdom, it's the least interactive of the castles,
Mhm.
right? The only time that you really get to be inside of the castle is if you book a reservation at Cinderella's
Mhm.
table,
Right.
whatever that restaurant is
I
called.
don't know.
Um, and that's only a select few amount of people.
Right.
Whereas in both Disneyland and Anaheim and Disneyland Paris, you are given the opportunity to walk around the castle. So
Mhm.
at Sleeping Beauty's castle in Anaheim, you're actually able to walk through the castle and it
Mhm.
takes you through the story of Sleeping Beauty.
Yeah, with the
And
stained glass windows.
oh,
Yeah.
well, that was at Paris, but
Oh, yeah,
yeah,
sorry, yeah.
but it's somewhat similar. It's
Mhm.
kind like so you're walking through the castle and it kind of shows you, the different parts of the story. There's a part where it has like Maleficent in it. It's very cool. And then at Disneyland Paris, there's two stores and
Mhm.
then underneath of the castle, then it's the dragon's lair
Yeah.
and you can walk through it and then
The
once
dragon
you
roars at you.
mhm.
Yeah.
And once you go up the stairs, there's that like little wooden house that looked like
Mhm.
it looked like Snow White's
Yeah.
house almost. And that was like a store.
Mhm.
And then they had like a holiday shop inside of it. And then one where you could buy jewelry. And then if you go up the stairs again, you see these gorgeous stained glass windows that
Right.
have like the three fairies from the story. Maleficent is in one of them.
Mhm.
And again, the detail is just absolutely
Yeah.
gorgeous. And then on top of all of that, as if that's not enough, you get to go out on a balcony and you can
Mhm.
overlook
The entire park.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I just that was something that had I been able to do that when I was 5 or 6 years old,
Mhm.
I mean,
Definitely. Yeah, it would make
yeah.
a big impression on you.
Absolutely. It was
Yeah.
so beautiful. And again, the attention of detail that is in that park and on the castle is it's just fantastic.
Mhm.
It really is just absolutely amazing. It is one of my I think probably one of my favorite parks
Right.
for sure,
Yeah.
but out of the 3, I mean, that castle is definitely my favorite. And just
Mhm.
all of the greenery around the castle.
Yeah.
You have the square trees that are
Yeah.
straight from the movie, very cartoony.
Mhm.
And yeah, I really do love that.
Yeah.
Um, in Cinderella's castle back in Magic Kingdom, you're not getting the same experience. Yes, you could still walk through the castle and you have the water around it, so you have that moat feel, which
Mhm.
is very beautiful, but it definitely feels like
Disconnected.
yeah,
Mhm.
like and as a kid, I feel like you would wanna play inside the
Yeah.
castle. That would
Yeah.
be like a selling point, I
Mhm.
think.
Yeah. I say definitely the presentation of Paris is the top number 1. The
Yeah.
presentation inside of Main Street is number 1 for me in Paris. Number 1 for anticipation would be Florida. With
Mhm.
this, if you take the boat route. If you take
Yeah.
the
Monorail?
monorail route, it's still cool, especially if you do like the full loop. So if you start from the Polynesian and then you go through the Contemporary and
Mhm.
over the Grand Floridian,
Mhm.
and then you come into the monorail and you come down. That's pretty cool. But the boat makes it something more special, especially if you're going in like when we had the not so scary Halloween party. When I was taking the boat over, it was kind of a darker. It was you know afternoon, evening. The sun was already setting, and the lights were coming on, so it looked more grand, the park. And then you go through and you come into the main street and all the lights are on and everything. So the anticipation factor definitely goes to Florida, but the presentation factor for me goes to Paris.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can also have a glass of champagne in Disneyland Paris right
Oh,
on Main Street,
well, there you
which
go.
I mean, to me, like, as a
Hmm.
Disney adult, I mean, this
That's
is
the way to
something
go.
I could only dream of, and
Yes.
I cannot believe that you have that opportunity. It's
Hmm.
so very cool. And then the other thing I wanted to talk about was just like the different types of entertainment that you have
Hmm.
on Main Street through the different parks. So in every park, that's like the main parade route. So the parade is going to go through Main Street.
Yes.
And then, like we said, there's ice cream parlors in each of the parks, and,
Mhm.
a bakery or Starbucks, that type of thing, which I think is really cool. But in Disneyland, Anaheim, and in Magic Kingdom, you also have the Dapper Dans. Now, have
Mhm.
you ever been able to experience the Dapper
I've
Dans?
not. I've heard you talk about them, but I've never
Oh,
seen it.
gosh, they are just so wonderful. So they are a quartet
Mhm.
that they sing Disney songs, or during the holidays they'll have like some holiday tunes. And they're just so
Mhm.
fantastic. I mean, I during Christmas season, I was dressed up and going into the park, and they took a picture with me, and they just make you feel so welcomed,
Mhm.
and just hear it, just they sound so beautiful.
Mhm.
And then also sometimes they'll do like little shows on Main Street. So back in the day they used to have like the Main Street mayor, and they used to have like these different characters that would like
Mhm.
walk around and interact with guests. Now, I have not seen any of those characters in quite some
I've never
time.
even heard about this before.
Oh,
Right.
yeah. Yeah. I'm sure if I Googled it, I could
I
find
mean,
their
I'm
name.
sure, yeah. I was gonna say though, before you had said that, I was gonna say it doesn't really feel interactive, the Main Street. It feels to me like just the entryway to the park.
Mm,
There is the shops on the sides, but if you're not there to shop or if you don't want to do anything, all Main Street is just to walk through.
yeah.
Now, when we did the Keys to the Kingdom tour, we learned some more tips or tidbits about Main Street,
Mhm.
like the different smells that they pipe through, or the names in the windows, or the sounds that they play out of the Main Street. So if you ever are on Main Street and you want to experience those, I say if you're in Florida, if you walk in and then on the right hand side is a little alcove. If you go back there, you'll hear people singing through
Mhm.
the windows, which is pretty cool. France, or Paris rather, I don't remember if I heard anything. I heard the music and I remember the smells, but it was quieter. So maybe whatever other sounds they were playing just kind of faded into background. They didn't really stand out because it was quieter. Um,
And I think, like, in Disneyland Paris, I feel as though people line up for the parades, like, a lot
Super, yeah, yeah,
earlier. But on the other side of that, people, like, sit down and watch the parade.
yeah.
Whereas in the other Disney parks, it's in the US,
hmm
it's more like you're just standing and
Well,
kinda
they don't even let you
waiting.
sit on the curb. They will
That's true.
move you.
Yeah,
I
they, like,
remember
push you back.
I was sitting on the curb and a cast member was like, "Sir, you need to stand up." I was like, "Ma'am, I'm in so much pain, please." But yes, they do block them off. They block off like the from crossing. You can't
Mhm.
cross over certain times because they're
Yeah.
preparing the parade route. And then
And that can definitely be a headache. I
yeah.
mean, the last time I was in Disneyland, it was one of the nighttime parades,
hmm
and we were trying to get to one ride, and we were stuck on the other side,
Right.
and it was just mass chaos of people trying to
Yes.
cross because they had lightning lanes, or,
hmm
the fast pass type thing for the ride, so they want to make sure that they don't miss it.
Right.
But then the way the parade route is set up,
It cuts straight through the half of the thing,
yeah,
yeah.
so that can be
Right.
very frustrating. Until it happens to you, you don't realize how frustrating it is, and then you're
Yeah.
like, "Oh, no, this is
And because the parades are
awful."
like, what, 10, 15 minutes?
Yeah,
Yeah, so if you're already cutting it close to your
yeah,
ride time and you get stuck behind a parade, you're
yeah.
not making your
Or,
ride
like, a
time.
dinner
Yeah,
reservation or something
yeah.
along those lines,
Or if
like,
you just wanna leave.
yeah,
If you're ready to go and you have a crying kid and your feet hurt and the parade gets set up, it's not great because now you're stuck and it's loud
yeah,
and the parades are nice, but if you're ready to leave and you're ready to leave and a parade shows up,
yeah.
then no fun.
And you've already been flat tired by
Right.
several strollers
Oh my
and
gosh.
almost ran down by somebody in a hover-round,
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
it can be a trying time.
yeah. In
Yeah.
fact, the last time we were at Disney, I was sitting on the curb and somebody like stomped right on my hand. while we
Yeah.
were right before like they were setting up the parade, and somebody was running to get a spot, and they just stomped straight on my hand, and I was ready to leave.
Yeah, yeah. It's definitely, it's funny because Walt always said that the reason why he chose like the spoke and wheel model was because he didn't want people to have sore feet at the end of the day of a long park day.
Yeah.
He said, "Oh, if you have like sore feet, then you're going to be grumpy and
Hmm.
you're not going to like have a fond memory of being in the park." But Walt, I'm so sorry to
The
tell
shoes were
you,
probably better then, back
I
then.
don't know.
Something was different.
I don't know. I mean, I think it was also just like less rides, right?
Hmm.
So, you were maybe in the park for a few hours versus how it is now, where you're in this once in a lifetime trip and you've already spent hundreds of dollars, if not thousands of dollars, to get here in a day. And now you're running around to make sure you've done everything
Yeah.
and trying to get every memory and every picture and
Hmm.
every ride and all that type of
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah, it
But yeah,
definitely changes the view of it when you're exhausted. But
yeah.
when you first come into the area, into the park, and you're going down Main Street, especially if you're there, maybe not first thing in the morning because of all the people rushing in to be there first thing in the
Hmm.
morning. But if you can get to Main Street closer to dusk
Yeah.
and you get to experience it, it feels different when all the lights come on and it's,
Yeah.
you know, more people going out than coming in. And so it's a little bit more empty, especially the Florida one.
Yeah.
It feels, I don't want to use the word magical because, Disney adults love to say everything's magical, but it's definitely a better vibe, I would say, when if you can come in there in the evening.
Yeah, I think when you can experience any of the Disney parks at a less crowded time, whether that's just not visiting during peak season or again going in the afternoon or something like that, then yeah, that will help a lot.
Hmm.
Cuz, you really do want to sit and enjoy. I mean, one of my favorite things is just sitting on one of the benches in Main Street and just looking out, looking at all the people, seeing people's faces, some of the people who've never been there or
Right.
experienced it before, seeing kids' faces light up when they see that castle
Mm.
or getting that giant thing of cotton candy. I mean, there really
Yeah.
is just something to be said about that, no matter which park you're in. So,
Also, if you go there during the holidays, I think they
mm,
do decorate it. Like
yeah,
I feel like I remember, and we went there for Florida for the Halloween or the Christmas party,
yeah,
and there was like a giant Christmas tree in the middle of Main Street,
yeah,
which was pretty cool. So they do put a lot of effort into making it feel like a town would feel during a holiday. So
definitely.
for during Halloween there was, pumpkins and things and cobwebs and stuff like that.
Hmm.
And then for Christmas they did it up. I don't know what other holidays they do there for parties and things, but it definitely feels like a street in a town. Like
Hmm.
close to us we have what's called Old Town, and it
Yeah.
definitely gives that vibe of just an old street in a town that you grew up in. So I definitely see where it was coming from. This is usually the time when I ask you the price, but I guess it's included in your admission. This is a free. I don't know if I would say free because nothing in Disney
Included
is
with your
free.
ticket. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, this is an included with your ticket
Yes.
experience. But again, I think every main street that we've been to,
Hmm.
there's pros and cons of
Yeah.
each, and you're gonna find something for you no matter which park you go to. One of my favorite things at the Disneyland park is the history with Abraham Lincoln.
Hmm.
I love that show,
Yeah.
and now they're gonna in the next years they're gonna retheme it to an animatronic of Walt Disney, and I just there's something that's so nostalgic about
Yeah.
Main Street. And even like when we were in Disneyland Paris, it felt like, oh, we're not that far away from home.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like we're just a hop, skip, and a jump away.
Yeah. It definitely felt familiar.
Yeah.
So, as a Disney adult,
Yeah.
how do you rate this? I mean, I guess you can't really rate this as an experience because it's included with the three Disneys, right?
I don't know if you can like rate it, but again, I just want to say that no matter which Disney you're visiting, if you've been to only one park, if you haven't been to any of the parks, or if you've been to all of them and you've done the true Disney Grand Slam, there is the true Disney Grand Slam.
Hmm.
There is something for you at every park and, just find a bench, sit down or get some hub grass spot space on Main Street and then just take it in and see what you find.
Yeah.
Rating?
I would
Um,
say so it's hard to rate it because it's literally just a street, maybe like
yeah,
200 feet of brick.
right.
But I would say because it's included in all the Disneys, it's not really, or the three main ones, I guess,
Mhm,
it's hard to rate it. But I will say, like I said, the Disneyland Florida has the best anticipation factor, the best walk up,
mhm,
but the Disneyland Paris has the best Main Street for me.
yeah.
What about you? What Main Street would you say is the best?
Oh, I honestly don't know if I can do
Hmm.
a best because each of them I like for different
Yeah.
reasons. Again, nostalgia factor, I have to go with Anaheim
Hmm.
being my favorite. But with Magic Kingdom, that was my very first park that I ever went
All
to.
right.
So I still remember what it felt like when I was 6 years old walking into the park for the first time and seeing the castle done up for the 25th anniversary with the pink cake and all the stuff.
Mm,
So I think that that's always going to have a special part for me, but my love for Disneyland Paris goes much deeper than just Main Street. I think that of all the Disney parks I've been to, that has the best theming and it is the most beautiful park.
hmm.
So, I don't know. I'm gonna take the easy way out and say that it's a three-way tie for
Yeah. No
me.
favorites.
No favorites.
Mm.
They're like kids. Each of them have like a special place in my heart for a different reason. So,
Hmm.
that's my story and I'm sticking to it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, until next time, have a good one.
All right. Bye.
Oh, wait, hold on. Before that.
You want me to keep recording?
Yeah.
Okay.
But what do you guys think? What's your favorite Main Street USA? Which ones have you been to and which ones do you hope to go one day? Let us know in the comments below. Until next time.
Bye.